Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey, chapter 247. It is the first day of the week, aka the Kamehameha workout. I am feeling great. It is way later than I wanted it to be, but some interesting stuff happened, so I will talk about that in tomorrow's video. But for today, we will be discussing one thing and one thing alone, and that is selling the illusion. So this entire subject matter came up because of a video that has been popular or making the rounds on social media. I didn't even know about it because I'm out of most social media nowadays, except for my friend, Walter, aka shout out Walter. He's the shorts editor. Sent it to me that everybody's clowning on this guy for making this stupid ass video of what I do in a day because of how ridiculous it is. And also, I happen to find multiple other videos that we'll talk about actually while we get into the voiceover. The entire subject matter about today is going to be about the idea of this selling, the selling something in order to have the illusion of money, and also the illusion of all of these things that they do certain things in order to get past a certain point in life or something. It's all just a funnel in order to get people into like whatever scam university or scam classes they have. Realistically, it's the same regurgitated chat GPT things that are coming in over and over again by the same exact people over and over again. And that's why it's almost like a weird pyramid scheme, but not quite exactly the same because you're being paid with knowledge, but also kind of. It's really strange in the sense that it has become more and more popularized. I wouldn't say one of the originators, but one of the people that made it very popular back in the day, I guess at this point, is Andrew Tate, which is the entire selling the illusion of a higher status of life, you know, the girls, the cars, the women, the body, all of those things, when in reality, the shortcuts that were probably taken in order to make it there are relatively obvious. Not only that, but also the illusion of it being way better and awesomer than the reality of it is. You know, the cool luxury Lambo that you don't have to know is also just rented for the day, or the super nice gym at a hotel that's only being rented out for a day, or the nice ripped body that was years of working out and also exogenous hormones. You know, all of those things that realistically are just setups to entice certain men in order to click and or say yes to this weird hedonistic world of trying to get betterment from themselves, when in reality there's absolutely zero substance to anything that they're selling whatsoever, because a lot of the times it all just is very surface level. It's always cars, body, and women. That's it. There's nothing. Oh, and money, obviously, because you can't have money without any of the other three, because for some reason you can't have them. But it's always the four things that try to entice this weird, like, subgroup of people that realistically are just going to get scammed out of their money. So here we'll probably talk more about particular examples of this, other examples that you see of people doing this, and the frustrations I personally get from seeing this, because it's just so... Not to get too into it, but it is so frustrating to see this happening over and over and over again. I mean, at this point, this type of thing is getting clowned on, and rightfully so. And I hope that we can bully these types of people into the ground, because they probably shouldn't be around. But, you know, there's going to be another variety of this coming up anyway. So, when with that being said, I will see you at Mother Base. All right, so started this day off with dips, which were pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand here. Selling the illusion, aka all of these weird life coaches that have become to mega prominence ever since. Well, they've probably been around forever, but I think that this archetype of the selling themselves, or selling the cars, the women, the money, the everything about them, the masculinity, there you go, that's the word, has come about more recently than not. I think the biggest one recently was probably
Andrew Tate. I think that's like the one that everybody knows. I remember looking at his videos a long time ago before he was big. So that was a very interesting thing to see when it happened. The entire point of this is that a lot of these guys are ending up just making all of these, let's be frank, some frankly bullshit claims in order to look like they have more than they actually have, in order to just sell whatever product they are trying to scam people out of. And 99% of the time, it's a scam. That's the funny thing, is that I feel like now at this point, if you aren't aware of it, then you kind of deserve to be scammed. And I know that seems a little harsh, but sometimes the only way to learn a lesson is the hard way. It's the only real way that you can get through something like that, because a lot of people will not end up learning unless they learn the hard way, which is a very unfortunate reality about life. This is one of those things that whenever they try to sell this illusion to everybody, they really try hard to do it, but then they never really fully commit to it. It's almost as if they really are trying to sell the illusion. I mean, in this video, the one at the beginning that I showed here, the Ashton Hall, or even in this Ashton Hall video, you can tell when he's talking about selling 10K or whatever, the computer monitor isn't even on. It's not even, it's performative 100%, which is ridiculous, because if you just actually took somebody through an actual day that wasn't scamming, they'd probably see something, you know, like it's not that crazy of a thing to ask for, but yet they have to make these things up to sell this weird illusion of trying to be very ultra successful, which they might be. I don't know about this guy. I don't care. That's the other thing. Seeing all this stuff is going to make me think, oh, ripped black guy that doesn't get sleep. Great. Don't care. Anyways, and that's really what it should be. Most people should just see this, take it for what it is, and then completely ignore it, because of the fact that he got popular because of all these little mistakes and idiosyncrasies that are kind of ridiculous. Let's be frank. They are there for a reason, because, you know, he knows, or his team or whoever made it knows, that people will be very receptional to the idea of how much they hate this, and now people will know his name or whatever, but at the end of the day, they will know it as a meme. And I think that's the issue with popularity nowadays, or even just selling the illusion. I think people will underestimate the idea that, yeah, you will get popular when you make certain things, but you'll also just get the backlash of you'll forever be known as a fucking meme. And I think that should be talked about more, which will probably be a future episode on its own. Most of the time, these things just have very zero substance. Everything about it is just so plagiarized and not real that you can probably just fish it out, really. It really sucks when you see these types of things, because you can tell that none of these people are actually trying to do this as a regular thing. It's more of a performative thing in order to just drive traffic to them. It's very, very sad, because sometimes they have all right messages. I'm not saying everything that this guy is doing is necessarily great or anything like that, or they are just hiding all the shortcuts that they probably took to do all of this stuff. But realistically, working on yourself, making sure that you know your social cues, trying to make money, things like that, probably not scamming people though, but things like that are just like actual things that you would want to try to do to improve in life are just seen as worth less now because of those people, because now they have cheapened it with their performative acts that have made it some stupid shit like that. And I'm very not excited or looking forward to the idea of those who will come after this guy, because they're always one and the same. It's literally everything repeats, really. History doesn't repeat, but it usually often rhymes. So wait for the next one to see and make fun of him too.
You know, if we had bullying, a lot of this wouldn't happen. But that's a whole other subject for a whole other day, for a whole other channel. And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed. None. Exercises skipped. We have one, actually. The rice bucket. I had to skip it. It is way too late. I had something come up before the gym, so that made me have to skip that. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand. Selling the illusion. Now, I'm going to keep this as brief as I can without getting too into it, but the main reason that this type of stuff is frustrating is because the things that this person or people in general who do this are doing are generally things that you would want to do in life. Not necessarily it's a case per case basis, obviously, but taking care of your body, eating healthy, making money, trying to succeed in life, maybe elevate the status, income of living, and or level of where you're living at. Maybe those things aren't necessarily for everybody, but at least they give you some goals. But the thing is, these people are making it the illusionary thing, or like there's absolutely zero substance behind any of the things that they say, thus cheapening everything that comes along with it. So if they give any good advice, even if it's good, it is now cheapened to the point now that it is worth less. And now that if anybody says that, you will be marketed and or seen as the same thing, which is annoying because then it's the genuineness that I always talk about on this channel. It has been eroded with people's trust, and thus, you know, you can never really say anything anymore because you can fake everything. And thus everything becomes a little bit more cynical, and it becomes a vicious cycle of you're not real, this isn't real, nothing matters, and you just go into a weird spiral of nihilism, which I know that sounds like that's not where it goes to, but a lot of the times it is. You can see a lot of these people that will spiral down into a pit or depth of hell immediately because they see this person and then they think, oh, they're selling me this bullshit. What's the point of trying? I know it's all lies. I'm never going to do that. Why do I try? And then it just keeps going down and down. And obviously that's just one example of how a person can spiral down. Obviously there are other ones, but this one is such a common one, especially if you get like some random kid who sees this and it inspires them to do something. And if they don't achieve it within like the arbitrary amount of time that they always put on these stupid fucking things, because it's always an arbitrary amount of time. If you're not making your first million by the age 20, you're falling behind, some dumb shit like that. And realistically, they always do that in order to set people up in order to fail. So then they'll have them on for the rest of their life, trying to hook them into the next scam or the next thing or the next money pyramid scheme thing. And it's really sad that some people will never really see that. And I hate those types of people because they never really want to actually help. It's just like I've talked about it in other previous episodes. It's the never-ending problem that just always keeps going on, or the buck is passed on to the next person, really. So I find it disgusting, and it's just disgusting in a different way than other things that I've talked about before. But when it comes to this part, I think that anybody who does this, who sells some weird like, oh, look at my fancy this, look at my fancy that, immediately can be disregarded, to the point where in the video he makes obvious mistakes, but the mistakes are so obvious, and these strategies are so obvious now that they're engagement bait. It's very like the moment that after you see anything that's even remotely resembling something like this, where they show a lavish lifestyle, or you can have this too, or you see these abs, or whatever the fuck else they're trying to sell you, just immediately know they're trying to sell you something and just turn away. The moment that you give them a click or a view or anything, just turn away and you're done, because then they don't get anything. Not interacting with it and making sure that these types of things go away is the best bet, because realistically they're going to stay around for as long as social media is popular, which is going to be forever. But it's something that you should be aware of and try to turn your back on immediately, because it is asinine to even give these people a fraction of an attention, because it's all fake. Realistically, it's all disingenuous, and I hate that. You can tell when people are disingenuous, so you just don't look. Realistically, that's all they want is the attention, and then they want to sucker a few people in. And if you're a sucker that buys that stuff, well, you got a whole host of other problems going on for you, buddy. But with that being said, thank you very much for watching. This one was a random one, a little bit of a trendy one, but whatever. It was just something that came up and was something that was on my mind personally. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. Keep it heavy. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.